So this week, one of the top income earners, not only in World Ventures, but literally across the entire industry of network marketing. I have so much respect for this gentleman. Been studying him from afar for the last 9 years. Him and his wife are just some of the most humble servant leaders you're ever going to get the chance to meet. So he is down in Dallas, Texas. Jefferson has hit the highest rank in our company, not once, but twice. He is a multi-million dollar earner with World Ventures. One of the top trainers, and you're going to realize right away. So he was a very successful college athlete, been very successful in business. Again, one of the top incomers in all World Ventures. But what I love most, and I haven't even got the chance to get to know him that much on a personal level, just getting to watch and study from afar, you can tell Jefferson is one of the most just studious and professional people you're ever going to meet. There's some people that go and have a lot of success and then they kind of coast on the success that they've had. And then there's people that constantly are growing, learning in student mode, always trying to get better so they can continue to impact other people. And it's very obvious. You hear Jefferson speak for even a couple minutes. That's the kind of person he is. This is a gentleman, and just so everybody understands, normally speaks in stadiums, like places where, the Dallas Cowboys play or the Miami Heat play, like these kind of places. I've seen this gentleman speak at those kind of caliber of events where you have to pay hundreds of dollars and, thousands, tens of thousands of people show up to learn from him as he's a keynote speaker at events like that. And we have him in the comfort of your own home today, being able to learn exactly how he had the success that he had. So humble to be able to share the stage with the one and only Mr. Jefferson Santos. Jefferson, did you make the call?
Yes. What is up, my friend? It's great to see you. It's great to hear you, man. This guy is on fire. Thank you for having me here today, buddy.
Jefferson, again, so humbled and excited to have you. Thank you so much. We had a lot of brand new people on here, almost 500 now, a whole bunch going to listen to this replay. If you would, maybe just kind of start off a little bit of your story. I know you've been one of the pioneers to help World Ventures grow to this multi-billion-dollar giant we are. And, I feel like we're just getting warmed up, but you got a better take on all of that than I would, being around, kind of helping this from absolute nothing to where we've kind of gotten to today. Would you mind kind of just sharing a little bit of your background and kind of how you got started?
Yeah, you bet, David. First of all, I just want to applaud you and your leaders and your team. You guys have an amazing leader right now, David Helgeson and his wife. I mean, just crushing it. So once again, thanks for having me on here. Guys, listen, I've known Wayne Nugent, our founder, for 24 years. And I met him about 9 months after I got started in network marketing. Now, my mother actually told me about network marketing back in 1996. I was back in the day. I was 20 years old. I'm 44 now. And I just had this huge desire to be successful because, my parents are from Brazil. They divorced when I was 4. So it was my mother raising my sister and I. She had 3 jobs. And, verbally, she would say, money's hard to make. Money's hard to make. Now, if you can imagine as a small child and as a kid and as I'm growing up, unfortunately, that GPS, my internal financial GPS, was programmed based on what she was saying verbally, which is, words are seeds. Words are very powerful. What you say to yourself and obviously what you say to your team and your kids or your spouse or whatever, right? And so it took me many, many years to kind of undo that. And that's one of the reasons why I think training is so important. Like a Saturday morning training like this is so key because Saturday mornings, I'm used to actually doing trainings and or learning something on a Saturday morning because everybody's at home, everybody's hanging out in their pajamas to get their coffee cup or their teacup or whatever. And there's that window of time, at least before noon, where you can get a hold of a lot of people. So I just think I feel right at home here doing this. And so, but let me share with you something from a athlete sports perspective. I started playing football when I was in 4th grade and that team lost. And I was in 5th grade, 6th grade, we lost, meaning we had a losing record, right? We won a few games, but losing record. Junior high, we lost. High school, we lost. Senior year, we were 5-5, which is mixed emotions, right? Then I get accepted to the Naval Academy, right? Only 1,000 students get accepted. I go there, so 3 different transitions are happening in my life at that time. I'm living at home my entire life to now living 2,000 miles away. I go from civilian life to military life. I go from Division 5A, 6A football in Texas to now Division 1A college football, right? So it's a major transition, right? Taking 18 credit hours during the semester, barely getting any sleep. And so I had to grow up really fast, but I had 3 upperclassmen kicking my butt every single day, for the first year, right? And so I didn't have time to think. I'm just kind of doing, right? But as I'm playing football at the Naval Academy, we lost there as well. Now, here's the funny part. I transferred out to go to TCU, Texas Christian University. So I caught the entrepreneur bug, and I love travel, and I want to do the whole Top Gun thing and fly planes, but I just felt like I could do it a different way. But the crazy part is when I left the Naval Academy, they won a freaking bowl game. So I didn't get the bowl ring. And so every young athlete, and you know what I'm talking about, you want to win the championship. You want to get the ring. You want to get the trophy. That's kind of a validation thing, right, for all the hard work you put in. And so even though I might have been a pretty good athlete, it doesn't matter. You have to have everybody working together as a team to win, right? So now I'm at TCU. Pat Sullivan is the head coach. We're losing, and then Franchione comes in. Now Gary Patterson's been there for 18, 19 years at the head coach at TCU. And so the crazy part, though, is I was in there in that transitionary period, and we lost. In the year I left there, they won a bowl game. So that's 2 bowl rings that I missed, okay? So then I get started in network marketing. I struggled for my first 9 years, okay? I was rough around the edges. I wanted to make money because I didn't have any money. And I had a desire, but I think the problem was, and this is something that you might be experiencing, I don't know. You really want it bad. You want to make the sale, but your team's not growing and you can't even get a team. And part of that for me was I was emanating the energy, the vibe I was putting out was I wanted the money in their wallet. You know, it's like those cartoons back when you're a little kid, you know, the characters like hungry and everybody looks like a piece of steak, you know, that kind of a thing. That's kind of how it was. Everybody was a dollar sign. And so that was where my come from was, which obviously wasn't good. And so it took me many years for my internal development, because it's an inside job, right? And but 9 months, so let me go back for a second. 9 months after I got started in network marketing, I met Wayne Nugent. Now, somebody might go, well, wait a second, why weren't you successful after 9 months? Well, just because you meet your mentor and you just add water doesn't mean you're successful. You have to go through your learning curve, just like all of us do right now. You know, some of you have developed the right relationships, you have the credibility, you're doing everything right. So when you start World Ventures and you started your business, you started at the starting line or even ahead of the starting line. But there's some of us, and I'm raising my hand here, I started behind the starting line. I didn't have a lot of credibility. I had to build that up. I had to develop the leadership skills that people wanted to follow me. I had to develop the certainty in myself, because if you're not certain in yourself, people aren't going to follow you. Right? There's all these little things that I had to develop that I didn't really know exactly. I just thought I wanted to make money. I was excited. I'd go to training events by myself without a team because it was only me on the team. But what was crazy is, let me tell you about my mentality though, as I wrap up the story here. I like to sprinkle in the lessons here. Is when I would go to training events, this is my mentality. I would walk straight up to the front row, because I expected there'd be a seat up there somehow. Because a lot of people show up in trainings in twos, you know, the husband and the wife, or the two business partners. And guess what? There was always an empty seat in between a bunch of people, you know, with a bunch of purses and bags piled up in a chair because they just thought nobody was going to sit there. You know what? I'd go find it and be like, yeah, and then I'd get in there every single time because it was that expectation that I was going to be a front row. So when I sat in that front row, because I was like, man, I'm going to figure this thing out. Yeah, I'm going to get to the top of the mountain or I'm going to die trying, right? And so it was me and the trainer. See, so when you're on the front row, you have zero distractions. There's nobody in front of you. You're right there, you and the trainer, and it was just one-on-one coaching for that whole Saturday or that whole weekend or whatever it was. And I did that for years. I'd have maybe sometimes a couple of people with me or whatever, but I went many, many years without having a team. There's a lot of you right now that are way ahead where I was when I was first getting started in network marketing years back. Okay. So to kind of wrap this thing up here, about a year and a half before I helped start World Ventures with Wayne and a few other business partners, I started to get some major traction and I had my first 6-figure year. Okay. But it took me nine years to get there. Right. And it was crazy because it happened at an event. I was at a seminar, and the lady that was speaking, some of you guys might have heard of her, Danny Johnson, one of my early mentors, amazing woman. And she was talking about how she had everybody stand up, and she had us put our hands like this, like we're grabbing a steering wheel and gripping it really, really tight, like we're white knuckling it, right? Like we're trying to control everything. And she goes, everybody needs to go like this, boom. And the room went silent. And she's like, look, you need to let go and let God. and to me, that was the first time I kind of heard something like that, because me as a type A personality, as a competitor, I'm trying to control everything, control my environment, control how I'm going to do all this stuff, control my business. And sometimes you could try to control something too much, you choke it out. And that's what I was doing with myself and my business. And so I just had to realize I'm going to do the process. I'm going to do what it takes. I'm just going to do it, and it's going to happen. And the other thing that happened at that event was you talked about a book called God at Work. And then there's people that are anointed to be priests, and there are people that are anointed to be kings in the marketplace. And what was crazy is in that book, there's successful business people that they made millions, tens of millions, hundreds of millions of dollars, and they kind of got to the end of their rope, so to speak. And they're kind of like, well, what else is there? Okay, I made it to the top of business. What else is there? I guess I need to go become a pastor. Well, they go try to become a pastor or something, doors would close. Nothing would happen. Go back to business, it would flourish. Try to become a pastor, doors would close. And guess what? They were designed to be a king in the marketplace, to be successful in the marketplace, because God's everywhere. I'm not trying to shove anything down your throat, but that's kind of what it is. So that was my Optimus Prime moment. By those of you that are Transformer fans, it was like I had this desire to be successful. God planted that in my heart. I didn't know what that meant, though. I think I was scared of success. I was scared of, what if I make all this money and then I'm going to do crazy things with it, or take drugs and go out of control and all this stuff, right? So I think I was scared because I wasn't ready, maybe, like deep down inside, but I wanted it, but I didn't know if I wanted it, like all these different things. And here's what happened. She goes, of the influencers of the world, she goes, the church is all the way down bottom, like below top 20. Then she started talking about, celebrities and successful business people and all this stuff are at the top influencers of the world. And so basically she challenged us and said, look, if you got to learn these skills, like the skills we're teaching you today and that you've been learning with David and the whole team, you got to learn, take these skills and go make a bunch of money so you can be influential. Because when good people make the money, the good things happen. When bad people make money, bad things happen. Making money is like spiritual warfare. You're taking money out of the enemy's camp and doing good things with it. And so that was like my Optimus Prime moment. And I was like, bam. And I was like, woo. So my come from was totally different. I called a couple of people that I had on my team. And I'm like, one of them was Kim Eaton. Some of you guys know about the Kim Eaton Award. And my people started hearing my music differently. And they go, okay. And that's when things started clicking. So then 2005, World Venture started, put in about 30 people in my first month. First year, I had about 4,000 people on my team. March 2013, I had 100,000 people on my team. I broke over a million people on my team in spring of 2016. And it's been amazing. I met my wife through the business. Now, I did get the ring, by the way, the IMD rings and the $1 million ring and all. So I did get the bull ring, so to speak, right? I had to help a lot of people. And it means a lot more to me because I'm able to do that, what we call, the legacy play, legacy impact. And not just my team, but obviously those of you that are on this Zoom right now, is I'm able to share something, one little thing that might unlock that last combination lock for you that you're like, there you go, bam. You know what I'm saying? So that's the short and the long of it.
Well, Jefferson, there's so much good to unpack under that. Exactly like you said, if you think of it, using a football metaphor, everyone comes to the starting line different. I remember hearing this when I first got started. Like some people, you look at them and they were really successful, and you're like, wow, and you're just blown away by the success they've had when you hear about it first. Well, you don't know where they came at the starting line at. Some people were starting first and goal, at the 5-yard line. So they go punch it in and wow, great job. They got the trophy and everything else, so to speak. Some people, they're backed up in their own end zone. There's some people, I was a broke college student. I'd never done anything like sport. I'm out in the parking lot trying to figure out how I could even get into the concession stand, yet alone get on the field to have a shot at even scoring. But that's where we all are at. We all are at least on the field. See, we have the ability to go and win. Now, that doesn't mean you're going to go be the first to punch it in. Like, think about running a marathon. Who runs a marathon to go and win the entire thing, be the first across? Like what, maybe?
The Kenyans.
Yeah, like 3-4 people when they run a marathon? I've never even run a marathon. I ran one 5K in my life, and oh my goodness, you track people. Good for you guys. I hope, man. But look, like 3 people are actually thinking, okay, I can win this whole thing. Everybody else, what are they doing? They're doing it to finish. And I love how humble you are, Jefferson, for as successful you've been, to be able to share with people that's many years of building in. So many people get caught up trying to compare their chapter 1 to your chapter 20. I mean, did you guys catch that? 9 years it took of struggling before he made his first 6 figures. So what if it took you 9 years of World Ventures to make your first 6 figures? But in the years ahead, do you think it worked out pretty well, years 10 through 20 for him? You think he's probably pretty glad after year 6, 7, 8, he's not like, now let me just go do something else. Like, the consistency and the continuing to understand, if it is to be, it's going to be up to me. Like, I love that ownership that you take. And like that's a problem I see with a lot of people when they join something like this. They've never done anything like this before. And they expect that they're already good enough to make millions of dollars. They're already good enough to make a 6-figure income. And they're not realizing, well, if you had the leadership skills and the communication skills and you were consistent enough, you would already be making that sort of an income. And so it's kind of a humbling thing. I think that's why a lot of people don't do network marketing, especially if you ever notice, like, you get that family or friend member that wants nothing to do with this right away. It's because they already get this maybe more than you do, that they know they don't want to get uncomfortable. They know they're exactly where they're at right now in August of 2020 based on the leader that they are and the work ethic and desire they're willing to put in. And instead of going, okay, if I want to get better, I'm going to have to learn how to get better so I can be better. They go, now let me just kind of coast at where we're at. See, sometimes you'll show people and they want nothing to do with it because they know they're not willing to go and try to level up. They're comfortable. They're going to stay exactly where they're at. Or even if they go a little backwards, but they maintain, that's what they're cool with. And you get into something like this, you go, okay, I really want to make something happen. I want to get something better. And you realize, okay, it's going to be a little humbling because there's people I show and they don't join with me, but they would have joined if somebody else showed them. Why? It's the exact same company. It's the exact same product. Might have shown them the exact same, period of their life. It's on us. We have to take that sometimes. And so, as you work and grow your own leadership skills, that's how we eventually, I know that was true for us. I mean, I don't even recognize Jefferson, the 22-year-old kid that I was when I started. Now I'm 31. And even a year ago, I don't recognize the person I was compared to where we're at now. And that's a positive, good thing. And I hope that encourages some of you that, it never goes as fast as you want it to. It's painful. Like for us at IMD, Jefferson, it took us 9 years. Painfully slow it felt sometimes. Is that going to be the slowest? Of course not. Was it the fastest? Obviously not. But we're running our own race, and you got to just keep running your race.
Exactly. I mean, here's the thing. I mean, here's the blessing in the struggle. You got to honor the struggle. Write that down. Honor the struggle, because it gives you the chops to be able to coach your people through their struggle. Like there's like a love-hate relationship with the rocket ship. The people that hit, they break the records, they build real fast. The problem is that they think that that's how life is, or that's how the business is. They can just sign up and all of a sudden it just blows up and they get to a high rank really fast. The problem is now they don't know what struggle is, right? And they don't know how to coach people through it. So now that, even though it took you 9 years, okay, that's past you now, right? You don't feel the pain anymore, because now you're in the celebration of it, and now you're moving. Now you're helping your people hit IMD and hitting the ranks and all of that stuff, right? And so that's really key. But so one thing I want to go back to, and I thought about it, then I forgot it, then I thought about it again. I want to talk about coaching people through the struggle, right? And honoring the struggle. God, there was one thing. I'll come back to it. If you have a question for me, ask me the question and I'll come back what I was thinking.
Cool. Well, I think we're hitting right on, some really good stuff for me, because.
Oh, I remember now. Okay, you ready? Okay. So I was on the treadmill yesterday, and the sound wasn't on. I was at the gym, and they were talking about, NFL's talking about, some players are opting out and things like that. And I get that. Some people, it's a risk exercise. Some people are willing to risk, some people are not. That's a whole different subject and a whole different talk, right? But what's going to happen this season is there are going to be third stringers that are going to be able to start and get game time reps for the next 6 months. And that's going to change the game. They're, just like most quarterbacks, including, Brady, right? Bledsoe got hurt. Brady got the start. You got to play, and that's how. And then now Brady's been playing quarterback for multiple seasons. I mean, 20 plus seasons or whatever, right? And now he's with Tampa Bay. But most of the time, you get your shot is the person ahead of you gets hurt or something happens, and you get your shot. And so what's happening right now is a lot of athletes that are not opting out, they're opting in, they're leaning in as an opportunity, and they're going to get some reps, and they're going to get some game time reps, and they're going to get better at lightning speed. Because I remember when I was in college, I was not a star athlete. I worked so hard doing my strength shoes and my parachute running against the wind and all this stuff, trying to get my 40 time down, right? And I got to a point where I was competitive enough to play. I didn't start at the Naval Academy. I didn't start at TCU. I walked on at TCU because scholarships were out already, but I walked on and I played, and I got in there. I was scrappy, I was your third down or your utility player, your flanker Z-back going across the middle, doing some of the routes people don't want to run, blocking some of the people you don't want to block and that kind of stuff. But sometimes you got to do what's painful sometimes to do what you got to do to get in there and get the reps. But I got better at it, right? And so that's, since I know we got a lot of athletes tuning in right now too, it's like, and you guys know this already, but I'm just bringing this up because sometimes we know one thing in one industry and we look at the other industry over here, but guess what? There's a lot of similarities because it's all mindset, right?
That's so good, Jefferson. And, I think back to, I heard a quote one time when you hear like that rocket ship you were talking about take off, you can either be fascinated or you can get frustrated. And a lot of times people get frustrated. It's also funny how records are just made to be broken. I hit marketing director in 11 months. I remember thinking that was really fast. And someone on my team hit it in 11 weeks. And it's so funny how that all looks. But again, even that's what the purpose of these calls are. If you're not having the success that you want to have, you can get frustrated by it. And there's people that probably should be on a call listening to something like this, to start their week off, but they're not because they're frustrated. But then there's people that are on the call right now and they're fascinated going, okay, what can I do? What can I tweak to start getting things in motion? Now, you definitely pointed out starting to work on yourself. Is there anything else you would point out that, if someone's trying to tweak something to really, there's people that want to get the engines moving that maybe haven't been moving for a little bit. And there's people that are, already, in high gear and they're ready to punch it and find another gear that they didn't even know they had. Like, you got anything that you would give them with that to really continue either advancing momentum or even just start recreating momentum again?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things, but to kind of pare it down, I mean, it's like a lot of us know what to do, but obviously knowing what to do and doing it are two different things, right? But the thing is like the worst thing you could say is, I know, or I know this and I know that. The thing is this, because information's everywhere, right? I mean, if somebody really wants to get in shape, if they really want to start working out, they can get on the internet and they can find information. But, and you've probably heard me say this before. I say this a lot. Direction when you need it is more important than knowledge. Direction when you need it is more important than knowledge. And so I don't know exactly what each and every one of you are doing right now, but I do know this. If you know what to do and you are doing it, the question is, are you doing it consistent enough? And are you doing it in excellence? Are you doing it, 2 days in a row and then you're stopping a day or two and then going back another 2 days? Or are you doing it every single day? I mean, some of you might have heard of the story about Seinfeld. He's talking about, what does he attribute his success to? Where he sits down and he writes jokes every day. And every time he writes jokes, he puts an X on his calendar and he tries to string 2 days together and 3 days together, then a week, and then a month, and then years of consistently writing the jokes because you can't give what you don't have, right? And so if you run the miles and you do the work and you do it consistently in excellence, then it's going to show in the numbers, right? It's going to show in your language. It's going to show in the texture of your language. And so that's really key. The other thing is, how are you getting people started? Are you giving them too much stuff or are you giving them just say, hey, good luck, watch these videos and I'll see you later? Like what are you doing? Right. And so one of those things are, a lot of people, they tell, they don't do tell, show, try, do. Right. And you got to be there when somebody gets started on your team. And some of you might be really new right now. It's like we're throwing a baby in the deep end of the pool. You got to make sure that you're there with the babies. I'm not calling you babies. I'm just saying that's the amount of time that you're in World Ventures. You're still a baby right now, right? And then they start to grow, right? But you can't, even though your new person might be good in another career, they're still young in World Ventures, and you still have to go through the process with them, because if you don't go through the process with them, they're not going to be able to duplicate that with their people. Right. And the thing is with duplication, it's got to be something that somebody can turn around 5 minutes later and do the exact same thing. And that's really, really important, because as some of you on here that are very credible, or maybe you have a great personality, don't lean on the great personality, because guess what people are going to do? They're going to be like, you know what? I'm not you. I don't have a great personality like you. right? And so you have to show them the system. You have to show them the way that you're doing it all the time, the blueprint, the runway, how they're going to get the six-pack abs in the business, so to speak. So they go, oh, I see. One of the downsides of having a team and the team is growing and you have all these great personalities is you have a lot of great presentations out there. And the thing is, as a team, is you got to keep your presentation the same, because when everybody on the team sees different leaders doing the same presentation, there's comfort in that. It's like, oh man, cool. And what happens is, what creates anxiety is people seeing all these different presentations going, which one's the best one? I want those slides. I want those slides. I want those slides. And all of a sudden you have 150 million slides and your presentation's 2.7 hours long or something, right? I get the curse of knowledge, but you got to keep it simple, right? And a good message repeated over time is going to take root. And that's what you got. I know that was kind of a mouthful on a lot of different fronts, but we got the recording so they can just, watch that again. But there's many, many things, but it's consistency. It's doing it in excellence. Okay. And running the miles. You got to run the miles.
Well, and I love that. So tell, show, try, do. So going again, right with that. So you got the same presentation. You're keeping it as simple as you can, and you're looking to do the repetition of it. I was just having a talk with that with one of the marketing directors on my team, Jefferson, where we're talking. You got to throw them into the deep end and let them swim with this. So it's you tell them the presentation, and then they get started. And you help them show their first few people, and you're showing. So you told them the presentation, they got started. You're showing them how to do the presentation as you're helping them with their first few. And then we encourage them, here, you try to do some of the presentation. You go explain the first half, I'll go the back. You explain it, I'll clean it up at the end. And then they learn how to do it, and then we go and we divide and conquer. I mean, I tell people that when we get started all the time, like, my job's to help turn you into hundreds of people that get started. And how are we gonna do that? Again, right there, tell, show, try, do. And eventually we're gonna divide and conquer. You're gonna take one of your friends and help them share some friends. I'm gonna take another one of your friends, teach them how to do it, and we go out and we just build those leaders. But I love how you point that out. You just got to stay consistent with it, and you got to keep it simple. And again, do it with excellence. Like, so many people just go through the motions and it's obvious. Like, if you're not into it, I mean, it goes back to, really having a why you're doing this, like you talked about in the beginning, where you really felt compelled by the more money you make, the better that impact was being, and the more people you were out there serving. So you're going to feel that in your presentation versus just kind of going through the motions. And, I mean, tell your face that you're excited about it. Do it with some oomph and some conviction. Those are all such.
Yeah, exactly. And so a couple of here's a trap. The trap is, with the system, sometimes it could get a little boring. Sometimes prospecting could get a little boring. I'm just saying that there's a lot of us that were exposed to so many different things. After a while, you're going to be like, is this all I do? Yeah, you get paid to be a broken record. Okay. And so, but where the challenge comes in, this which keeps things, the variety and the spice of the business, is you got different types of people, different types of personalities, different little people challenges, you could say, right? To keep people in line, because what the thing is your team has a culture, the company has a culture, and we've got to keep the people, not to be like a dictator or a Gestapo or something. I'm just saying the culture is key, because that's what the glue is. That's what keeps people in. If all of us want to have a long-term residual paycheck, and we want to have retention for the long term, we have to develop that culture. We have to set that standard of excellence of what we're doing as a team, right? And so we have to notice that our behavior and what we're doing. I mean, one of the craziest things, that's fun about our business is we have a lot of fun. We have these dream trips that involves alcohol, right? And so sometimes alcohol has us do stupid things, right? Has us proposing to people that are already married or some crazy. I never did that. But what I'm saying, I just heard stories, but there's just things that alcohol does, right? And so as part of the culture with the team is, hey, have a drink or two, not a drink or 10, right? And if you feel like you push an envelope a little bit more, have a little buddy system, like, have somebody just take you out of the situation and take you back to the room or whatever. The worst thing is as you start to climb up the ranks, or you're trying to get in the inner circle because your production's starting to go, and all of a sudden your upline seeing you falling over in a bush on a dream trip because you drank too much. That's not good. Or if you're a leader and your people are seeing you like freaking stumble and fall, it's like, I don't know how we got into that, but it's just part of the culture of kind of what we're doing. Listen, you can do whatever you want in your house. You do whatever the heck you want to do, but when you kind of put the hat of responsibility on when you say, hey, I'm going to be a leader. I'm going to go lead these people. I'm sorry, you can't just be you anymore. Yeah, you could be you, but now you've got to be your best self. You got to be, okay, how would I be a great model, a great role model today? Right? Especially during 2020, especially during what's going on in our world right now. How can you be a better role model today? How can you be a better role model on a dream trip or at this training? How am I supposed to act as a role model at this training right now? Am I supposed to be leaning forward, taking notes, paying attention? Or am I supposed to be on my phone texting other people on my team how, I'm so bored because I've already heard this before? You know what I'm saying? Like we got to be the role models, man.
Well, and yeah, I mean, I remember hearing Dr. Peach tell me this at the beginning, Jefferson, where if you're going to, do network marketing as a profession, you're going to have to be one of the highest speed people on the planet. You're going to have to develop into that because you're leading a volunteer army. This isn't like, you have some corporate job and they say, okay, you're managing these, 6 other people that are in your department or something. They're just, yeah, you can have a leadership title. That doesn't make you a leader. And here that'll be exposed very quickly because, again, just because you have a rank doesn't make you a leader. It's going to be the actions that you lead. And again, these are people, they're not just, sitting there for some random paycheck, but this is a volunteer army that we're having to lead. So again, those are the kinds of, when I said at the beginning, I love how professional you are, and just the humble servant leader that you are. Like, you can tell you practice those things. It's not you say. That's what I love with these calls where we really try to get across too. It's like you don't just say one thing and then do another. It's you're leading by example what you're saying, and people can feel that.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, what are we doing all this for? I mean, it's like, listen, the byproduct of doing all these things and going to these trainings is you're going to end up being a better person. Not that you suck as a person, it's just you're going to be even better. I mean, the worst day in your life would be, 30 years, 50 years from now to meet the person you could have been, right? And it's like all this does is it puts you in challenging situations. But this is fun. Like we have a blast doing this. I mean, who doesn't want to, travel, make money, and make a difference around the world? That's what we do. And so, those that are on here right now that are watching this, or you're watching the recording, this is real life. This is, you get to look at yourself in the mirror and you get to hire yourself again or fire yourself and then rehire yourself again. I mean, it is a true test of character, and I think that people that do have a background in sports, in athletics and things like that, have a chance to exercise that over here. That mental power, that mental agility, because I think that you're willing to learn something new, and I think that's huge because one of the pitfalls I've seen people in my business over the years, and I'm sure it's happening in your business too, is you get someone who's a pretty hard charger. They're very competitive, and they get a little frustrated, and what happens is they kind of fall flat on their face, and either they get up and humble themselves and learn how to learn it the right way, or they fall flat on their face, their ego gets hurt, and they kind of slide away into the darkness, and we never see them again. They go into the witness protection program. Don't be the person that you fall flat on your face and you feel like you're not supposed to. Because guess what? I fall flat on my face too, right? And it's a lot less now, but it was a lot back then. But if I didn't get up, I wouldn't be where I'm at. As a matter of fact, speaking of falling flat on your face, I almost did that yesterday. I literally right now have a mild case of vertigo right now. It's crazy. And went to my doctors yesterday, went to my chiropractor, went to my concierge doctor. They got me taking some stuff, but it's crazy. I'm playing hurt, so to speak, right? But yesterday I was leaning over and all of a sudden I just kept on going. I'm like, what's going on? It was weird. And anyways, that's a side project there, sidebar. But the thing is that I lost my train of thought. Take it over, man. Take it over real quick.
But I'm thinking, like you go back to the try, show, or tell, show, try, do, and how people fall on their face. Like go back to that example of, and if you haven't, I would encourage you, start doing a presentation. If you've watched the person that's been helping you do it, you take some ownership this week. Make it a goal. Have the slides, have the video, know how to go lead some of these things. And it's not going to go perfectly. Like I think back there from the very first time that I did a presentation where it wasn't someone helping me do it. I was the one going to go, explain the slides. I was doing it by myself, so to speak. I'm helping a girl at 10:30 at night on my team at Applebee's. And I'll never forget this. It was so bad. Like I promise, my whole point to all of this, you guys might suck a little bit when you begin. It's okay. We all suck and we've all fallen flat on our face. 10:30 at night, guy shows up thinking he's going on a date with the girl on my team. Instead, there I am wearing a fancy shirt like this and opening up a computer to show him this. I suck so bad. Halfway through the travel part, he goes to the bathroom and never comes back. The girl right? All fired up. I'm helping her show someone. I guarantee, I don't remember what happened. I guarantee she went and probably was like, I can't do any worse than him, and she took some ownership. So screw the whole thing up. It doesn't have to be perfect, but start, and when it doesn't go perfect, keep going with that. Again, like you said, you can fall, but we're looking for the ones that get back up.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you're going to do a sucky presentation before you do an okay presentation, okay before you're good, good before you're great, great before you're excellent, excellent before you're outstanding. And you got to do the reps. And I tell you what, you get more confidence if you do the action. You know, I talk about this a lot, the 4 C's. You know, a lot of people are like, well, when I get more confidence, then I'm going to do this and this and this. No, confidence is the result. The first thing is commitment. You got to make a commitment that you're going to get to the next rank. Make a commitment you're going to get to the top with this. Once you make the commitment, that's the first C. The second C is you have to display courage. And courage is what sucks. Courage is when you get nervous. You got a pit in your stomach. You got to make that next phone call. You got to win that next race, whatever you're doing. And Hollywood makes courage look like confidence. No, courage does not feel good. Courage is feeling the fear and doing it anyway. Courage is wetting your pants and doing it with the wet pants. Okay, that's what courage is. Okay, but once you make it through the courage, once you make it through there, I don't know if that's a few weeks or a few months for you. I don't know what that is, but once you make it through the courage, you now have a new capability. And with that new capability, you get the confidence. It's just like my 2 little boys that, you know, us as parents, me and my wife, Megan, it was our commitment that we wanted them to learn how to swim when they were about 1.5, 2 years old. Okay. And we made the commitment. So then they had to display the courage. You know, they're getting dunked in the water and they're swallowing water and they're coughing and they're crying, mommy, daddy, and all this stuff. But eventually, instead of just holding the side of the pool like this, now they know how to swim. They have a new capability. Their capability for fun is way bigger than just holding onto the side of the pool for dear life. Now they're running and jumping in. They're jumping off the waterfall. They're having a blast. They're swimming underwater, getting, little dive missiles and airplanes in the bottom of the pool. They're having a blast because they displayed the courage first. Then they got the new capability. Now they have the confidence. So you're not just going to muster up the confidence just by sitting there and willing it into existence. Is you have to do the activity, and the activity is not fun sometimes.
I like that. I've heard the 3 C's from one of my marketers. I like the 4 C's. That's okay. I took that one down.
Yeah. So it's something that's real. It's going to happen. Now, here's the trap. Okay. As adults, what happens is we do the 4 C's over and over and over again through our life, right? Those of you that are on here, that if you've gone through the miles and you've stepped up your game over and over and over through your careers, right? Then what happens is we think that we can just jump from commitment to confidence all the time. Yeah, there's a level of that. But what happens, here's the trap. What happens is a lot of adults, they go to some sort of substance, whether it may be alcohol or something, to get the kind of temporary instant confidence, right? And they think that they can just do that instead of having to go through the courage part and doing the activity. They can just jump over the bridge and get a temporary confidence, and that's not going to pay off. Eventually, you'll fall even further down, and you'll be like less confident. Like, I mean, I remember there was a time where I was in a success coma, okay, and I had my presentation on videos and all these different things, so I wasn't doing the presentation a lot, okay. And guess what? When it was time for me to do a presentation, people didn't know it, but in my gut, I was nervous, and I was like, am I going to come off of this presentation rusty or whatever? But that was an internal thing in my head. Nobody knew. I mean, I just did it because I had done it so many times. I did it, whatever. But inside, I was like, man, can I nail this? But as soon as you do one presentation, you do 2, you do 3, I mean, you feel like you're on top of the world because you're articulating it. You're speaking life over your business. You're doing the deal, okay? And you'll notice this. The confidence comes in the action, not before the action.
Well, 100%. I mean, it's the solution every time. You want the diagnosis to help your team. You go start a new team. Go do a new presentation. Pop a new personal. Start a new success story. Get a new person to qualify. Pop a new residual earner, and the confidence just will continue coming. But I mean, again, it's just like getting into the gym. You skip that all of a sudden for 2 months. You go the first day, and it's way more painful than when you're 3 weeks into a good routine. I mean, your business is the exact same as that for sure.
Yeah, exactly. And you know, I know we're kind of wrapping up here, but you know, one of the things that's really, really important is innovation, and staying on top of things, because it's 2020 and there's always going to be the basics of the stuff that, you know, building relationships, talking to people, right? But then there's going to be different tactical ways that we do that online, and that's going to evolve over time. And so just make sure that you're always plugging into the trainings, our company trainings, team trainings all the time. So you're always getting best practices now, what's working now, because now that everybody's kind of been forced to go online, like for real, then what's going to happen in the next year? It would have taken 10 years to get there. We're going to do it in the next year, just because everybody's innovating and having to be kind of forced online. People that weren't used to being online, they're now online. And what's happening is the business is just going to get faster because people are used to hopping on Zoom now. You know, I was blessed to be able to get on Zoom in 2000, I guess 14 when it started, because I had international teams and I had to do Skype before that and then Zoom and all that. And so when the pandemic hit and all that, I was like, oh, it's just the same thing for me. I get to see my kids more. I'm not traveling as much, so it was great. But the thing is like we got to be careful of isolation and superiority. Okay, meaning, you know, we're stuck at home. Some people are still stuck at home, so we can't get out, and we're isolating ourselves. And all of a sudden, we feel like, you know, we can't learn any new things, or we feel like we got it down and we know exactly what to do. Well, what happens is the world's going to keep on moving, and you think you're moving with it, but you're not. So that's why it's always important to plug into these trainings. That's why it's always important to find out what is it that the leaders are always doing, and you'll get that little tweak. Okay, it's pretty much the same stuff, but there's a little bit of tweak here and there. I mean, even since in the last 3 months, in the last 6 months, you know, and because of this business, I've been able to invest, you know, in my education. I spend more money now every year than I did when I was in college as far as for education. I spend $100,000 a year. It's all relative. $100,000 a year on my education, marketing education, leadership education, all of that, because, you know, your people can't lead in your footstep if you don't move your foot, right? In order for me to move my foot, I got to grow and I got to keep on raising my leadership lid, right? John C. Maxwell, right? And so we have to continue to do this. And I know there might be some of you going, well, wait a second, you know, like I want to get to the top and just kind of stay there. And yeah, but there's always a false peak. You know, there was what was the movie with Marcus Luttrell? They were stuck on the mountain. Forgot what the movie was. Anyways, it was Marcus Luttrell, Navy SEAL team, whatever. Anyways, he was the only one left. And what was going on is they got to the top of one of the peaks to get comms, to get communication, and they realized it was a false peak. Because the highest one was over behind them, and they got the wrong one. So what I'm saying is leadership sometimes is you're never done. Okay, I'm not telling you got to be working every single 15 hours a day, reading books and all this stuff. No, do an hour a day, do 30 minutes a day, whatever you got to do. But always chip away at that, because there's always another level. And if you're always doing that, your people are going to see it. You're going to feel better about yourself. Your family's going to see it. Your kids are going to see it. You're just going to be happier. We want happier people on this world. And by you working on yourself and us working together, we're going to have more happier people in the world.
100%, Jefferson. And I can't believe how fast this hour went. I just got one last question for you. I like to close with something like this. So, you know, we got 500 people on the call, a whole bunch going to be listening, I'm sure, on this replay now. Speak maybe to 2% of the people or less that are listening right now. Like the ones that heard, okay, so some people here 9 years to get to a 6-figure income as you start an industry like this. Oh, wow, I don't know if I'd have what it takes. But they missed they overestimated what was going to happen those first few years, and they underestimated how fast 1 million customers came. The people that go, okay, I don't care how long it takes, I'm willing to go put the work in. I am that person that's going to do whatever it takes, as long as it takes till I get that job done. I'm going to keep working on myself. I'm going to keep grinding. Like really speak to that person. Like, again, because Zoom, I felt what you were saying in the beginning when you would sit row 1 in these training events getting started. You found your way up there and you felt like it was just me and them. Like, they can look you right in the eyes, and it feels, as I'm staring at my computer, I'm sitting with you right now. Speak to that one person, you know, someone that has worked so hard on themselves, has gotten to just, you know, such an incredible level. What would you say to that person? They really want to go and continue to finish 2020 out and move themselves dramatically in the right direction.
Yeah, I'll say this. What's the alternative? You know, you started a race. You started this. Let's finish it. You know, there's a lot of people counting on you. If you got one person on your team, you got yourself on your team, you've got 100 whatever people, 1,000 people on your team. They're counting on you. And if you don't step up, it kind of gives them permission not to step up. And so guess what? Their success is tied to your success. And so what I would do right now is you got to dig in and you got to go, you be the reason. You be the reason that your family gets a chance to have generational wealth. You be the reason that your team, they get a chance to, go to Disney World because they've never been to Disney World. You be the reason that they get a chance to go and go to the top 100 spas in the world. You be the reason that you guys rent 5 catamarans or 5 yachts and sail around the Greek Isles together. You be the reason that you sail around the BVIs together, right? You become that reason and put that mantle on your shoulders, because that's what I did. I was like, you know what? I mean, my mom, bless her heart, she has a high school education, but she has such an optimistic outlook on life. And that's one thing I got from her is her work ethic and her optimism on life. And that's what I always did. Okay, I didn't do it that time. Okay, what else do I need to do? And I'm always thinking, how can I do that better? Okay, what else do I didn't know? Okay, let me go after that. And I'm always curious like a child. The reason why children learn so much so fast during those formative years is because they're curious. I mean, my 8-year-old son right now, well, both of my sons, but 8-year-old son, he is soaking up everything like a sponge. He's telling me more about my Tesla than I even know, because he's just soaking it up. He's telling me about this airplane coming out, the 797 coming out that Boeing's building, the 777X that's coming out with the fold-up winglets and stuff. I mean, he's telling me about all these things because he's curious. So stay curious, okay, about just stay curious about your learning. But here's the thing. Every Sunday night, I review my week and then I plan the next week. Every day, I review my day and I journal a little bit and I ask myself, who needs my A game today? Who needs my A game? You have to ask yourself questions in the morning and ask yourself questions at night to kind of debrief, because we learn things and we do things during the day and during the week that we need to take that experience and invest it into the next day. Take that experience, that week of experience, and invest it into the next week. I mean, there's some people we've heard that, I've been doing this for 20 years, but they've been doing the same thing for 1 year and they repeated it 20 times versus taking the 20 years and investing it into the 21st year, right? And so that's how we get better, because the whole world is growing exponentially and the world needs you. There's so much negativity out there. There's so much divisiveness out there, obviously, that the media is creating and all this stuff. It's really not total reality anyway. But we need to be that positive light. We need to be the light for people that there is a way to make money. There is a way to travel and make a difference. And guess what? There's people out there that only listen to you. If I called them or if David called them, they wouldn't hear it. But you're the one with the relationship. So you're the one that could be holding them back. So you got to make the call and you got to stay there, because there's going to be people next year that are going to be like, man, 2020 was crazy for me, but I see that you're still doing that travel thing. I'm ready to go right now. It's because you stick and stayed with it and you got better. And so that's what's going to happen. The harvest will come even more if you continue on that track. So just press in right now and lean in. Okay, we got sports are coming back online. Football season starting. School's going to be starting in various different ways. It's time to click in and get in those starting blocks. Or I know some of you already have starting blocks. You're already in stride. So let's keep that stride going. Let's lock into that pace. And let's keep on rocking and rolling with it.
Well, Jefferson, thank you so much. I appreciate your time. Again, so grateful for you to spend some time with us. Everyone, thanks for jumping on. Again, the recording will get dropped in several of the Facebook groups, and you can go on my YouTube channel. It's just my first and last name, David Helgeson. So, Jefferson, thanks again. Everybody have a great weekend. God bless. Let's go make it happen.
Bye, everybody. See you later. Thanks, David.